So, did you ever, going back to the people you say you did not give illegal drugs to, by the way, did anyone ever tell you how Mr. Nowitzki got these names to write down for you?
He told me that day that he had been, I hate to put words in his mouth, but retrieving all of the emails and information like that. He made some broad statement to the effect that he knew more about me than I knew about myself, and he'd collected all this information over the previous year's investigation.
Okay. Now, Barry Bonds is somebody you say you didn't give
That's
drugs
correct.
to. Did you ever have any dealings with Barry Bonds?
Yes, I did.
What were your dealings with him?
We did testing for him, and then I designed a nutritional supplement regimen for him, as I did for several of the baseball players.
Well, let's just stay with Barry Bonds
Okay.
for now.
Okay.
What else did you do for him?
He asked me to provide some testing for his father, cancer, and for his younger brother, who had chemical dependency. So I worked with Barry and his father and his younger brother, and it was strictly nutrition. It had nothing to do with any sorts of performance-enhancing drugs.
Right. And
Danny, what?
Performance-enhancing drugs.
did he? And by the way, you have stated publicly your view that Mr. Nowitzki has lied about the fact that you claim that Barry Bonds had used illegal drugs, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And that's what you believe?
that's what I believe.
Okay. Did Barry Bonds ever pay you for the services?
No, he did not.
But he did provide a photographic endorsement of Zima, didn't he?
Yes, and that was after a period of I had helped him and his family since October of 2000 through May of 2003, so almost 4 years. And I did ask Greg to ask Barry if he would be willing to do this interview with Muscle and Fitness, and he agreed to do so.
But didn't he also allow you to advertise with his picture, as with him endorsing Zima?
He said positive endorsement type of statements that did have his photos of him wearing my ZMA logo, yes.
And they were advertisements that were placed in...
They were not advertisements.
What were they used for?
They were in magazines.
What were they?
They were articles.
Like editorial stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, but you are you aware, has anybody ever told you whether Barry Bonds has been paid by other companies for wearing their products in pictures?
I've never heard that he has, no.
Oh, okay.
I never heard of it.
That he has.
Gary Sheffield.
Yes.
What did you do for Gary Sheffield?
Strictly nutrition, blood testing and nutrition.
Okay. Did Gary Sheffield ever pay you any money?
I believe that Gary did pay a very small sum on one occasion in amount of $300-something, I think.
And what was that for?
Supplements.
Okay. Jason Giambi.
Jason Giambi, I never met him. I never gave drugs or nutritional supplements to Jason Giambi. I've had no contact with him at any point in time.
And Jeremy Giambi?
Never met him and had no contact whatsoever at any point.
Okay. And Armando Rios?
No contact, never met him ever.
Okay. Now, paragraph 8 goes on to say that Conte has other athletes, clients who he only dealt with on the legal nutritional side. And these athletes included John Elway. Did you do any work with John Elway?
Yes, I did.
What did you do for John Elway?
In 1997 and again in 1998, I went to the Denver Bronco training camp. The testing we did was approved by the team doctor, and we collected blood and urine samples on the entire team, and then I developed individual nutrition programs for everyone on the team, including John Elway.
And were you paid for that?
I believe we billed some of their insurance for that.
And do you know how much you were paid?
I don't recall.
Okay. How about Bubby Brister?
Bubby Brister, we tested him as well, and later I remember that he used to buy some supplements as well.
All right, by the way, when did you test John Elway?
1997 and 98.
Okay, so this was 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years before the the IRS raid.
Yes.
Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that you had provided legal nutritional help to John Elway?
No.
Did you tell him that you had provided legal nutritional assistance to Bubby Brister?
I don't believe so. No.
And do you recall what Bubby Brister paid?
No. Small amounts.
Like,
in total, maybe a few hundred.
okay. And now what about Dan Marino, who's also listed? Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that Dan Marino had been a client of yours?
No. And likely where he got this information is off my website.
Did Dan Marino pay you any money?
No.
Okay. Did he do any advertising or product placement for you?
They did do a photo shoot. I had a relationship with John Gamble, who was a strength and conditioning coach, and it was published in one of the fitness magazines, and Dan, even though he didn't give an endorsement, he did the photo shoot. So there were photos of him in the article about my work and the products.
Now, it also mentions Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes.
And have you done work with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yes, I vaguely remember him. He was a running back, and I remember he had some sort of an injury.
Not the basketball?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
No, he's a running back for Miami.
Okay. And did you tell Mr. Well, let me do it this way. Did you tell Mr. Nowitzki that any of these individuals had worked with Balco or Snack?
No. When they confiscated all of the athletes' files, you have to understand that this, if you look at the date that he signed this was about 2 weeks after the day of the raid, so he confiscated all the files of many of the athletes, if not all the athletes I'd ever worked with, and I believe these names were included because he had their files, so that's how he knew. I did not tell him.
Well, if we look at the page 5 of 5 on the memorandum, it says that Mr. Nowitzki prepared the memorandum on September 5th, not a few weeks later.
Well, what I recall is that I ended up, my legal team got a copy about 2 weeks later. So he says on the 5th, but, you know, they were all in a single box. And he took the whole box that day on the 3rd, then he prepared this a couple days later. So it's my opinion that he went through the files.
And just made up things.
And included all these names,
I'm
yes.
gonna check when you say made up.